couple of months ago, you may remember we had a M790 Intek radio in for service and alignment, and it had a dodgy mic, and we sorted the mic out, which we wouldn't normally do, and did the normal service on the radio, and away it went. Well, this is the return of the Intek, because when he got the set back, there was no audio on receive. So I said to him, have you plugged in an extension speaker? He says, yeah. Have you put a mic in? Yes. So we're going to explore this together, because although it's not exciting to have a repair that bounces, it does happen in about 1 in 200 cases. Now, another set in the same batch arrived with a rather damaged front back to him. So despite careful packing, it looks like things got bashed around. So this isn't going to be a service video, because the radio was already serviced. It's going to be solely a what on earth happened video. And so this is the return of the Intek M790 Plus. Really is the return. So I'm going to plug the mic in. Of course, the mic, which we did a bit of a repair on, maybe even duffer. I'm not even going to plug the instruments in yet. We'll power it up. Here comes the power supply. Here comes the radio. No switch on melody. So there's an instant clue, isn't it? So we'll connect the speaker up. I asked him to check it with an extension speaker. No switch on melody. But hang on a minute. We're getting a hiss through the extension speaker. Well, that's weird, isn't it? So it's transmitting. Radio is locked, so we'll just unlock that, whichever the lock button is. Or is it that one? So it is receiving, but not through its own speaker. So either the speaker's gone open circuit, or it's come disconnected, or the switch has failed inside the extension speaker socket. It's one of these with the annoying extra screws at the back. So I'll put the extension speaker onto the... Oh, great. Always something happens, isn't there? Pause the video whilst we repair the equipment. So let's have a look now. So we've got audio up to the speaker. I'll switch the power off. We'll just put the meter across the speaker. Speaker's fine. So we've got no earth at the radio. So we'll start by just seeing whether the speaker socket is somehow dry joint, even though it doesn't look it. Well, I think we're going to have to pull out the circuit diagram and see what's going on there. Speakers working, extension speakers working, but we're not getting anything to the extension speaker socket. Now, you know, when we did this, of course we did an on the air test, and so we know the radio did work at one point. There's no like physical damage, you know, it doesn't look like it's been bashed up or anything, so it's just one of those things. I'll pull the circuit diagram. Let's have a look if we can work it out. So looking at the circuit diagram, I can see a likelihood here. Oops, which one is it? It's that one. So here's the loudspeaker. There's the switch inside the extension speaker socket, and between the switch hot and the speaker is a 4.7 ohm 2 watt resistor. Now surely that could only go open circuit if something really strange happened. So I'll turn the radio off. So let's unsolder. I'm not even going to bother looking at the layout because there's only something that hefty that I can see, and that's here. So resistor 207. Yep, resistor 207. Now, how can that be faulty? Put this back to normal position. .5 ohms. Interesting, because manual says it's 4.7. They've got two 4.7s in series then, but they're not faulty. So just for test purposes, we'll put a link across. This is just temporary. I don't know whether to replace that with what the manual says or replace it with what's there. Perhaps they had speakers blowing and they changed the value so it was quieter to its internal speaker. So if I put that to there, just neaten up that other end. Put that to there. We'll switch on. I think I've twisted this thing round and round and round. So no audio with that link in. Well, we're going to have to take that socket out, I think. But the danger there is not having a replacement, so we've got to be able to fix that socket. And of course, we're not really here to mend components, are we? So I've taken the socket out, and the switch in it works. There we go, continuity on the switch. So the socket can't be faulty. So let's connect it to our test equipment. And see what happens. So that's the outer. And that's now disconnected, which is what's supposed to happen. And then we'll put it back together again. And they are connected. Okay, well, we'll put that back together. Right, so what I've ended up doing is to take out the choke there, take the resistors out, which you saw me do, take out the extension speaker socket, which isn't easy, dismantle it, clean it, put back together, and we're now working on internal speaker, external speaker, internal speaker, external speaker, internal speaker. Right, we'll put it back together and just make sure it works. Okay, so we've put the radio back together. That's working on its own speaker. And we'll plug the instrument speaker in. And we'll unplug the instrument speaker, so that's showing that. Put picture in picture on. Just to see how it's receiving. I can't remember what it was receiving like last time. Gone into lock, you see, as soon as you. That's it. It's not the most sensitive radio in the world, is it? About 0.7 microvolts. And then we've got S9 on the meter. On transmit. Full 4 watts. Low, 1 2 1 2 1 low. We've got full deviation. So I wonder if we'll go back to internal speaker. I wonder if we go on to the aerial, whether we can hear anybody out there on a Sunday at 4:45. Oh well, because they're playing music like they do. 19, Roger. Okay, that can go back to the customer. Wonder what happened in transit this time. Now, how can you know, what's the situation? How has that happened? You know, answers on a postcard. As you know, these are meticulously tested, and it goes back and there's no sound. Now, it worked on our extension speaker. It doesn't mean it worked on the customer's extension speaker. So we took the resistors out. They were fine. We took the choke out. It was fine. I had a right faff taking the little extension speaker socket out and cleaned all the contacts, put it back together. Even though it buzzed through on the multimeter as it was, then put it all back together and it works. You never know. We might have another video in 3 weeks' time. It could be return of the Intek. You never know. Right, so this is what can happen. And, you know, it's not the customer's fault, it's not the post's fault, it's not my fault. So what is it? I don't know. Anyway, luckily it's got a big batch of sets and it just goes back. So thank you for watching. I don't think we've seen a return before, but we have today.